Good morning, church family. It's Thursday, November 19th, a little before noon, and I needed to reach out to you and communicate to you where we are as a church in regards to the ever-changing COVID-19 situation here in Pickford and in our county. The church board and I met last night and had an extensive conversation about where we are, what's happening in our local area, and how it affects what we would normally do as a church in regards to our Sunday morning worship gathering. We made the decision that we will suspend our in-person worship gatherings starting this Sunday until after Christmas. We acknowledge that the 3-week pause that is in effect this week, that it may end in 3 weeks. And if that is the case, that we certainly have the option, if we feel that it is safe and we can do it responsibly, that we can regather sooner than Christmas. And if that's the case, we would very much be communicating that. You would know that well ahead of time. But we also acknowledge that there's a good chance that the 3-week pause would be extended beyond that. And we wanted to be clear rather than have another update having to come out 3 weeks from now. We, as a board, we looked at not just the requests from our leaders in our local county, from our Eastern UP school superintendents have issued a statement asking for us as a community to limit gathering with people that are outside our family group, which is, of course, exactly what we do together as a church. But what we looked at most of all was God's call for us as God's people to live out love, especially as it relates to the poor and the vulnerable people among us. That is very relevant in the situation that we find ourselves in today. And out of a desire to be a witness to our community that we love them, that though we may think differently in regards to this pandemic and the necessary response to it, there is no shortage of different opinions about that, and within our church as well. But that we desire to show our community that even though we may see things differently, that we want to show them love by trying to do our part in protecting them in regards to exposing the vulnerable among us as a church and our community to COVID-19 by gathering together. The good news is that we have technology available to us that we did not have necessarily as a church previously. When the church had to suspend services before I got here last spring, when all of this started back in March, I know that there was not much available in regards to New Horizons Church and being able to stay in contact and connect and worship together, even electronically. But now we have that, and that we are and have been offering an online worship experience for those that were not able to gather or those that were sick or out of town, and that will continue. We're actually making some adjustments and hoping to include other aspects of the worship service and not just the sermon. And so I'm working on that this week so that for this Sunday, we will gather as the church. We will worship Christ. We will seek to hear from God's word. We will have the opportunity to worship through giving. It just won't be in this room. The church continues to exist. No one can close the church. We are not canceling church. We are suspending in-person worship services. We cannot close the church because the church is not this building. And so the church is you. The church is me. And part of our call as God's people is to care for those who are most vulnerable among us. And the board and I feel that this is the way that we can best do that as a church family, for those in our church family and for those that are vulnerable in our community. And so I want to encourage you, though I know that there will be great disappointment and perhaps anger because of just everything that is so wrapped up in this issue, that our core desire as a church is to show God's love. That's it. That is what we feel or what drives this decision, is to show love to our neighbors and to those that are most vulnerable among us. And so we will be offering online worship experience. We will feed that through our Facebook page. There'll be a link there. Of course, it is centered in YouTube. So if you've already been accessing that, it will continue to be accessed. I will be communicating that on Facebook as far as where you can link to that, and I will be, if I have your email address, you're going to get an email from me about this as well. I'm going to be emailing out this video to make sure that we are doing our best to communicate. And I would ask for your help with that. If you know people from our church family that you're not sure if they're going to get the word, help us by reaching out to them and just letting them know. But I want to caution you, be very careful in how you communicate that. We are not canceling church because the church is not a worship service. We are motivated by our love for God and living that out in love for neighbor. And that is why we have made this decision. In the days ahead, as we get nearer to Christmas, you'll be hearing about when we'll be regathering and what that will look like, so that we can all be on the same page, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. We are going to be offering an online Christmas Eve service, and I'm already thinking about ways that we can incorporate that and that we can worship Christ as best we can with the resources that we have available to us. And I'm very thankful for those resources. And so we have great hope. God is at work among us, whether we gather in this room on a weekly basis or not. And my prayer, and we prayed together as a board last night when we concluded our meeting, I absolutely believe that this period of time, though it is not going to be the same, I'm not going to pretend. Of course, an online experience is not the same as in person. There's no way it could be. But I absolutely believe that this could be a period of time where God can work among us in a way that we will not be the same when we do regather. That because of the way that God helps us in our intentional connections to stay connected as a church, because of the work that God is doing in the midst of this time, individually in us and collectively as a church, that we can be strengthened and encouraged that when we do regather, we are ready to continue on our way of following Jesus as a church family together. So be in prayer for us as a church, be in prayer for our community, be in prayer for our leaders, be in prayer for our board. I would certainly covet your prayers as your pastor as we seek to navigate these days together. And the last thing I would ask you to do, and perhaps the most important thing I would ask you to do, is stay connected. Is that if you know somebody that God puts on your heart, give them a call, drop them a note, send them an email, shoot them a text, whatever you can do to help them know, I'm thinking about you, I'm praying for you, I just want to check in. Let's allow God to strengthen our connections together as a church family so that we do not experience the isolation that is so prevalent when we are not able to be in the same room together. So let's stay connected. Well, I'm going to be working hard to make sure that we're communicating very clearly what the days ahead will look like. But I wanted to make sure that I got this message out as soon as possible. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me anytime. You can call me at the church. It is 906-232-3898 is our new church phone number. You can contact me by email. I'll get those messages even if I'm not here at the church because I'm limiting my time here in the church building as well. But reach out to me, let me know, and let's stay connected. God is with us. These are great days in the life of the church, and I expect and am anticipating a wonderful Christmas season. It'll be different, but it's going to be great as we celebrate the King that is born to us in the manger. I'll be talking to you in the days ahead, and we'll stay connected. Have a great rest of your week.